Gotta get my coffee in here. All right. So in one of my lives last week, I promised that we would have a discussion on the Mormons and why they so vigorously are over the last decade or so have been involving themselves in the communities of people of color. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Mormons have really been going out and recruiting in the people of color in the islands, uh, in America. They've been showing up in the non-white neighborhoods even more so than they ever have before, as far as what I've seen. I've also seen them going to these native islands, these Pacific islands, these Caribbean islands, going down to South America and start recruiting very vigorously people of color. And I find it interesting that they would recruit people of color. Now, I was watching this video yesterday. It's a very interesting video where you have good morning everybody, good morning. It's a very interesting video where you have these Christians of two different denominations. Hey Cornelia, how you doing? They had these Christians of two different denominations, presumably in Utah, and they are challenging all these Mormons in their beliefs and expressing how Brigham Young, straight racist, Joseph Smith, straight racist, most of the those in charge of them later. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Brandon. Good morning, Voice. Good morning, 27. Good morning, Nichols. But I just found it so interesting. First, I found it hypocritical. Yeah, hit that like button and subscribe if you just now find me. But what's up, why people? I found it so hypocritical that you had a white dude who was like one version of Christianity and a black guy of another version of Christianity trying to tell the Mormons how they've been taught wrong, how their leaders, their beginnings was racist as all out, and how that they are following the false Christianity. I found that hypocritical as hell. Also, I found it interesting that the black guy who was sitting up there citing the racist comments of Brigham Young and Joseph Smith, and who was citing all this stuff, was also, when challenged, and the guy said, you wouldn't go to an atheist, when an atheist speaks about the contradictions in the Bible, you wouldn't learn from him. The guy was like, well, they're taking it out of context. But the Mormon guy had just said that you're taking Brigham Young and Joseph Smith out of context. It's so funny to me how if you're espousing your point, you're right, but the other person is taking it out of context when they say something to you, or you're not taking theirs out of context. That was one part that I thought was interesting on this little video where they was trying to teach the Mormons how they're wrong. But we're gonna good morning, Alexander. Yeah, you finally got me. Hey, and we got to talk, Alexander. I think you're local, which is going to make your stuff easy. But here's the thing. We're going to just talk about the Mormons today. When I lived in East Cobb, I used to have the Mormon guys come by my house. When I lived in Florida, I used to have the Mormon guys come by my house. I wasn't the kind of person that would say, no, get away. I would invite them in, and then we would go through it. But usually the little Mormon young guys, they couldn't deal because we couldn't get past Joseph Smith. We couldn't get past Brigham Young. We couldn't get past the fact that they would change and based on the Mormonism, their God is flaky as hell, changes his mind, has no consistency. We can say this about the Christian God, period, the Islamic God, period, the Abrahamic God, period, that they change their mind depending upon the circumstances of the society of man, the social environment of man. God changes his mind. Now, I want you guys to think about that. Why would you worship a God that consistently changes his mind based on the social climate of man? But that's what you see in the Mormons. You see it more directly in the Mormons. Now, at minimum, at least all the other denominations of Christianity, they can point to long time ago in history. You know, they can separate themselves. They can feel sort of a separation from 325, 492, you know, 1052, 1051. They can separate themselves from the Dark Ages. They can separate themselves, but that seems so far away. But Brigham Young and Joseph Smith it wasn't that too long. It wasn't that long ago. We're talking about 200 years ago, right? So it's a closer time frame that you can see the change of mind. And before we talk about the race part, let me go ahead and get one little change of mind so that you can understand it. Joseph Smith taught that if you didn't believe in, first of all, let's establish Joseph Smith declared Mormonism basically because he said that all these other, he was up in New England area, and all these other churches, these other versions of Christianity were arguing and bickering and arguing and bickering. And he said that God came down to him and gave him a revelation to start the Church of Mormon because he needed to separate these false Christians because of all the arguing, bickering, and give the one true version of God. And that God came and he visited with the Native Americans, which is an interesting concept, that God would come and visit with the Native Americans. After I tell you guys about the racist aspect, their God would not visit the Native Americans based on what they were teaching. But so because of that, he started the church, the Latter-day Saints, the Church of Mormon, the Mormons. And some people talk about how he started because he was having sexual relationship with like children and had all this kind of things, and he needed an escape, so he declared Mormonism. We're not gonna. The thing about it is, one of the first things that alarmed me about Mormonism before I even knew about the racist aspect of it was the fact that when the Mormons, when Utah wanted to become a state, they had to get rid of polygamy. And so they changed the religion. A elder, whoever in charge, had a revelation and changed polygamy and said polygamy is not of God. But Joseph Smith taught that if you don't believe in polygamy, if you don't accept polygamy, if polygamy, you don't see polygamy as the right way to be, then you cannot be a part of God. You cannot be in the kingdom. You are not part of God. So just because the United States had a vendetta and wanted to get rid of all the Mormons and would not allow them to become a state, Utah to become a state, God sent the revelation to change his mind. So God bends at the will of the United States government. Who would want to mind changing God like that? That makes no sense. That's idiocy. But people can't see that. People will ignore it. This Mormonism is like the biggest, is a huge cognitive dissonance that's like right in their face, but they choose to ignore the immediate facts right in front of them. They will tell you that who's ever leading them is inspired by God. All their teaching were inspired to God through Joseph Smith, to Brigham Young and everybody else. It was brought down to them. Even with Spencer Kimball changing it in 1978, saying that blacks can be a part of the priesthood, that was inspired by God. So God told Brigham Young and all them one thing, and then he flip-flopped it. I guess civil rights, the civil rights movement was enough force to force God to change. Now you have to think about it. Any God that can change based on an outside force is not God. It is not a supreme being. How can you be omnipotent if something outside of you can influence you to change? You're not. So that's right in your face. That's 1978. 1978. And they don't understand it. They won't release it even in the face of true information, their own information, and they won't let it go. Which is why I cannot for the life of me understand why any person of color, especially a black person in America, would ever become Mormon. So let's break that down a little bit. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about their history. Now, if you guys know anything about Mormonism, that's great. Chime in. I look forward to it. Everything you do, I look forward to. I appreciate everything you do. And yeah, I'm having my morning coffee. So, the first thing, the Mormon teachings. This should be the first reason why no black person, no person of color, should ever become Mormon. In Mormonism, it is taught that you had Yahweh, Elohim. Elohim was born. There's this cosmic grouping of gods. Elohim is born to rule over his own planet. In ruling over his own planet, his own people, Elohim has all these souls, all these angelic beings, and all of them are white in the beginning. And then Elohim has two sons. He has Jesus and he has Lucifer. They're two twin boys, two sons. Now, they are wanting to, they have the humans and they say, well, we're going to go down, we're going to have the human earth and all this kind of stuff. And all these angelic beings are going to have souls down there. So what is the best way? What is the best way? Well, Lucifer says we can't give him free will, according to the Mormons. Jesus says we can. All right, you do but driving. Cool. Uh, so Lucifer and Jesus, who are brothers, have this fight. They argue and they fight. In the fight, well, Lucifer loses. The first they vote. Lucifer loses the vote, and then, which is funny, God has allowed them to vote. But then they fight, and all those who fought on the side of Lucifer became demons and were cast down to earth. All those who fought on the side of Jesus, they stayed white, and they was up in heaven, right? Or this planet that they were talking about. All those who said, we're not for Lucifer, but we're not for Jesus either. We're just going to sit back. We don't really care. It is said that Elohim cursed them with black skin so that when they came down to earth, those souls will be black. That's the first indicator that if a Mormon approached me, and this is why when the Mormons did, when I learned this, because a Mormon gave me a book of Latter-day Saints back in 97. And I read that thing and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So then after that, no, it was not. Yeah, it was 97. So then after that, when Mormons come to me, I'm like, dude, y'all straight racist. So yeah, the curse, being black means you're the accursed pacifist. You're the accursed standbyer on earth. That you just said, you know what? I'm not for Lucifer. I'm not for Jesus. I'm just happy to be here. Just thankful to be here. And God said, hey, since you jokers can't make a decision, I'm going to curse you with black skin. Now you got to think about when this is written. This is in the 1800s, right? Let's say Queenie said, I have a friend that was a Mormon. She was black. I hope she's still black. Yes, they were racist, she said. But I was just joking about it. I hope she's still black. So you got this. So God is saying that, because you guys can't pick a side, so you indecisive. You cursed because your soul is indecisive, and so you were cursed to be black. That was the first thing. Then, good old Joseph Smith. Remind you, the Mormons believe that everything Joseph Smith taught was from God, just as much as every other Christian believed that everything from Paul was from God. Everything from Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, from God. Those who put the Bible together, it was all inspired by God. So any Christian, you can't get mad at the Mormons because they saying the same thing you said. But Joseph Smith, in his teaching, I'm gonna put him and Brigham Young together. Him and Brigham Young, because I'm not gonna go one and another. Him and Brigham Young, both of them were teaching that you are black because you are the offspring of Cain. Right? She said the black holds no position in the church and probably wouldn't make it to heaven. Exactly. They say that you won't even make it to heaven. You can't make it to heaven. That's what I was gonna get to. You can't make it to heaven if you're black. You actually have to go through the process so that in heaven you can become white, right? Have I ever looked into Jehovah's Witness? Yes, I have. And that's a whole nother video. Jehovah's Witness. We're going to talk about them too one of these days on one of these lives. But Joseph Smith is saying that when Cain killed Abel, the mark that was on Cain. Now, people have different things. Some people say the mark of Cain is that he couldn't grow a beard. Other people say the mark of Cain is that he couldn't have sex with any of the Anunnaki, so that his Anunnaki bloodline diminished until it was nothing. Others says that he had a mark that allowed him to live forever, and he has to live on earth and suffer pain, suffer the loss of, love and loss for all eternity until Jesus come back. So, but according to Brigham Young and Joseph Smith, God, Elohim, told them that black people you're black because you're the cursed seed of Ham. Brigham Young went so far as to say that if you have one drop of the seed of Cain in your blood, that you cannot make it to heaven, nor can you be a part of, you can't be a part of the priesthood, and nor can you make it into heaven. That's what Brigham Young said. This is not something that I'm saying. This is what Brigham Young said. The guy who they named the college after, Brigham Young. That's what he told them. And these people will go for it. They follow it. I'll see if I can find his exact wording. But um, where is it? Okay, that's just talking about how. Okay, so they said that you couldn't do that. Then they also said that everybody knows the story of Cain. I mean, of Ham. You know, Ham seeing Noah. You know, his dad butt naked, drunken naked, and laughing at him, getting his other brothers to come around. That he was cursed to be enslaved by his brothers and his descendants. And they were saying that black people are also you're cursed because of Ham. Now let's think about this. See, here, this is why they had to say this. Because first they said black people here because of Cain, right? And since Cain created all the black people, and even though they say the seed of Cain, which is so funny that if you had the seed of Cain, that you can't be in the priesthood nor you go to heaven. But Cain, his whole generations got wiped out during the flood, theoretically, based on this. Only the generations of Seth survived because Noah supposedly come from Seth. So only Seth people live. But then black people re-emerged on the planet because of a curse from Ham. So it seemed like every time you're cursed, they had to find some justification for black people. And plus, that curse also said that you will be in servitude. Mind you, this is during the 1800s. What was going on? Civil War didn't happen until the 1860s. Slavery was in place. So Brigham Young and so Joseph Smith and them justified slavery by saying that you are the cursed children of Ham, and therefore that's why you're enslaved. Now they could have used the fact that it said that if you go and you conquer your neighbor, you can enslave them and pass them along for generation after generation. The Bible does say that as well, but their interpretation was the enslavement. Brigham Young was one of the biggest proponents for bringing slavery to Utah, But yet, black people are Mormons. This makes no sense to me. They telling you right off the whip. Now, it wasn't until 1978 that they actually changed it. So this is the flip-flop of their God, is that their God can't make up their mind. It's not like gravity. Gravity doesn't change. Can you bend gravity? Can you break gravity by applying another force to it? Yeah. But even when you apply that force, gravity is still doing what gravity does. You can have acceleration, propulsion that pushes you away from the planet Earth. But guess what? Gravity from the Earth is still pulling on you. Gravity from the sun is pulling on you. Gravity from every planet is still pulling on you. Even though you are using another force to leave this planet, gravity is still affecting you no matter what. When they send a little capsule out into space, gravity of other planets and bodies still affects it. So what y'all telling me is that gravity is more consistent than Mormons, than the God of the Mormons. Because the God of the Mormon keeps changing his god doggone mind. I was about to say cotton picking mind, but their God ain't picking no cotton. He need to. But so they justified slavery by utilizing this, and they was also was able to do by this, by saying it's a curse, they were able to bar black people from becoming priests. They didn't allow them to baptize. They couldn't give sacraments. Black people couldn't hold any of the offices in their church. They also use this to ban interracial marriages. They also use, and if you were the child of an interracial marriage, then you have the seed of Cain, which I'm still not understanding. If Cain's generation has died and now you're the curse of Ham, shouldn't it be the seed of Ham? But if you have the seed of Cain and you couldn't make it into heaven, they were against the civil rights movement, and they were against black suffrage. They were against freeing the slaves. So they've used this for over 100 years. Over 100 years. And even after 1978, laws don't change people. Laws have never changed people. The Mormon church still makes it difficult for any black person to become priest. But now, guess what they're doing? Their advertisement people, the people who are advertising for the Latter-day Saints, they're propping up black people. These are some token-ass black people that they are propping up. and there's two women, the sisters of Zion. They are propping them up as tokens, and they can't even see it. They are so delighted to be tokens of the Mormon church. They're graduating PhD people who are black, and they are pushing the Mormon church and trying to make it seem like they're so proud of it. You're proud to come from a religion that says that you are cursed, that God first cursed you as a soul, then he cursed you as a seed of Cain, and then he cursed you as a seed of Ham. Then he cursed you to be in American chattel slavery. Then he cursed you that you can't take leadership roles in your church. And he kept cursing and cursing and cursing you. And so you will sit up there and be a part of that. That is a level of cognitive dissonance that I can't even fathom. Even a Christian black person would have to look at that person and be like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you serious? The evidence of it is still plainly in your face. And yet you stay. You stay. Instead of recognizing that you are not cursed by any means whatsoever, that you don't need man to tell you that you're not cursed. Who gives two shits if a dude in 1978 reversed what Brigham Young and Joseph Smith and everybody else who was in charge said? Who cares that that person reversed what they said? Why do you accept it? Oh, what, were they wrong? If they were wrong, if their foundation was wrong, then should not the entire thing be wrong? If you build a house and the foundation is not cured, what will happen to the house? The foundation cracks. The house becomes unlivable. The house becomes a danger. And I'm telling you right now, the Latter-day Saints are a danger to people of color around the world. They're a danger because they are convincing you that you deserve your subjugation, that you deserve to be put into the positions that you're put into. You have a friend. I wish I would meet a black Mormon. I've only met white ones. I wish to their God that I met one. Here's something that's crazy to me. There's a lady named Jane Manning. Y'all gotta look up Jane Manning. Let me read this part right here. Jane Manning was an early African American member who was a servant in Joseph Smith's household in Nauvoo, and later followed Brigham Young to Utah Territory. She petitioned the church leadership to allow her to obtain the endowment, but was repeatedly denied because of the ban. But then here's the thing about this young lady. She then went through a ceremony, and I want to make sure it's the right person, but I'm pretty sure it's Brigham Young. But she went through a ceremony that allowed her to be the servant of, I believe, Brigham Young. It might be Joseph Smith is one of them. I can't remember exactly which one it is. But it allowed her to be the freaking servant for all eternity to one of those guys. I think it's Joseph Smith. She went through the ceremony to become Joseph Smith's servant in heaven. Joseph Smith's servant in heaven. Because you have to understand, for the Mormons, when you go to heaven, when you're judged, when you go to the final judgment, there's Jesus on one side, there's Elohim on the other side, the Father, and Joseph Smith in the middle. Their Trinity goes Jesus, the Father, Elohim, and Joseph Smith, right? That's their Trinity. And those three will judge you based on what you've done on earth. But as far as being black, you ain't making it. You ain't getting in. As soon as they see you, they ain't even got to discuss it. It's boom, you out. But this woman went through the process so that she could become his servant in heaven. I thought y'all go to heaven to be free, black Mormons. I thought you go to heaven to prostrate yourself and gaze on the throne, which that'd be a crook in that you'd have an eternal crook in your neck by doing that. But this woman was so foolish in her beliefs that she was willing to be a slave in heaven. What the hell? Now that's been a product of her environment, though. That's been a product of a woman who escaped from slavery and went up to the north, ran into this joker. That's a product of your environment, and you're giving into that, and that's why these people who are black people born in Utah, who families are part of this Mormon church, they're born into this, and because they're born into it, they mentally can't escape it, and that's killing them. Alexander says, mind blowing that people believe in this myth. Exactly. Why people say, I'm probably going to meet one of those in the next few days just because, I mean, if you meet them, I hope that you know, have this in your mind. So have this information that we're talking about in your mind because it's indefensible. What can they say when their leaders wrote it? It's indefensible. And the fact that it changed in 1978, that's the flip-floppy God. Who would want that? I will never be a part of any religion again. They're all man-made and controlling. Exactly. I mean, you couldn't convince me. You couldn't pay me to be a part of a religion. And here's the thing. This is why I walked away from religion. It's funny. I had somebody come up and tell me about a year or so ago, like, you know, we can make a lot of money on this religion thing. And that's the other reason why I think that the Latter-day Saints are going after people of color. Is because they know the Baptist church is getting rich off people of color. The Catholic church getting rich off the people of color. The Protestant church, rich. The evangelists, rich. The non-denominationals are getting rich off black people. They are making money just, what is it, hand in the fist, whatever that saying goes. They just hand over hand, hand over fist. They just making all kind of money because if you want to make money, find the most oppressed groups, convince them that there is hope for you if you give to this kingdom. If you do that, they will give you money. One of the reasons why I honestly believe that Kevin likes to say that I'm a motivational speaker. I don't try to motivate you. I want to transform you. One of the reasons I was told that I'm not as well known, nor am I making as much money, is because I won't sell hope. I won't sell empty hope to people. I tell people straight up, like, I hope there's a couple of people who are in my financial alchemy program and watching this. Now, I'm not talking about Alexander. He's doing what I asked him to do for his. But a couple of other people, they made payments, and I'm like, do the first thing. They're not doing the first thing. I don't have time for BS, right? I'm going to tell you the straight up truth. And so that's why I'm not as popular, because I ain't got time to be fluffy about this kind of stuff. Alexander said history tells truth, and people are still arguing the fact. They sure will. How about both? They would hate it more if our black queens walk away. Now, and that's the thing. That's the other people that that's the other thing that the guy told me. He said, man, you're a handsome black dude, and I appreciate that. But he was like, women will follow. Women will follow. And women will prop you up, and women will pay. They will give the money. You just got to sell them hope. And see, when they go to, and it's not just them who are going to these people, these tribal people still living in tribes. But I mean, the Catholics and the Protestants, they're going, the evangelists, they're going as well, because they recognize this money. But they're finding these people who are impoverished, and they're saying that you don't have food, but I trade you food for your commitment. I trade you food for your religion. Give up your religion. Your religion is satanic, it's paganistic. Give that up and come and walk with me. I'll show you the real God, and my real God got food. These people see the food and they come running over. They see the opportunity to eat and they come running over. If you were truly a missionary about your business, then you would say, here's the food, and not worry about it. Here's the food, here's the clothing, and not worry about it. I don't have to teach you. And that's why, like with the Temple of Learning, I told Kevin, the main thing about the Temple of Learning is we're just going to teach people. If you want to learn about alchemy and Kemetic science, and you want to learn about ancient religions, you want to learn about all this other stuff, you want to learn about chakras, that's cool by choice. But you don't have to learn this in order to get food. You don't have to learn this in order to understand financial abundance. You don't have to learn this to do any of those things. We'll teach you that. All are welcome. If they were doing that, I wouldn't have a problem with them going to these islands. But they're going to these islands because they're recruiting, because they want to get whatever money they can have. Because if you can do that, then you got them. Because as you elevate them, you get them caught up, you elevate them financially, and then you get their money. And see, black people in America, you already got money. Where my store is at, the average household income around here, right, is like $50,000. Not a whole lot, but it's right around the national average. Right around the national average. The Mormons are out here in full force. I see them all. I see them every day. Every day. They won't approach me, but I see them every day. All right. They're out here in full force because even though people out here are struggling, there's a large community of people out here who are struggling. They know that in their struggle, you sell them hope, they'll give that money. They'll give that money. I see it every day on infomercials, well, marketing stuff. People saying that if you ain't making $1 million a year, I got you. I can teach you how to make $1 million. I can teach you how to make this quick dollar. I can teach you how to, you can become a real estate investor and make $5,000 a month, make $35,000 a month in 5 weeks. You can be. I see those all the time. I see the little signs that tell people become a real estate investor with no experience necessary, and don't even use your own money. We got money for you. You only have to use your own, and you could be making $35,000 a week, a month. They're selling you a false hope based on some bullshit. Is it true? Can you make money as a real estate investor? Yes. Can you make it with no money? Hell no. You're going to have to get some money from somewhere. Now, they may say you're not using your own money. That's true. You can do that. But that is not as easy as they make it seem. And are you going to be making $35,000? No, you're not. I mean, we can talk about that at a different time, because basically it's somebody who's doing wholesale deals and they're trying to get you to come in and you calling to get the wholesale deal for them, and then they give you a piece of the wholesale deal, which is something you can go do by your dang self. You ain't got to go. So if you see those handwritten signs, you only see them in areas where they know people are desperate for hope and looking for something quick. So these religions, like the Latter-day Saints, go out to give people these quick hopes, these quick hits of hope to get them to come in. And then and then once they get them to come in, they say, now you got to feed the kingdom. Joseph Smith wrote, our leadership is saying, you got to feed the kingdom. We got to build the building. We got to have the construct. We got to have the people in place. But guess who's not going to be in place? Your black self. Your person of color self, whether you're Asian or Islander or whatever, you're not going to be in position because they don't allow you to. Even though they've changed it in their writings, because the guy got a flip-flop mind, they changed it right, you still not going to be there. You're still not going to be in position of leadership. So the money, you ain't, even if you become a minister of there, you ain't getting the money. They would hate it more if black women leave. That's right. Yep, the new hustle is selling hope, like those empowerment seminars. I know them. I see those, especially for the women empowerment seminars, especially the ones that are built around entrepreneurship. I see a lot of women getting led astray. They're giving up that dollar, giving up that money for what? Then they walk away happy, excited. Yeah, I'm a network. I'm gonna build this. I'm gonna build that. And the next year they're at the same seminar. Oh, I was working on it, but life hit this and life hit that. But they never give you the information to be able to change it. They never give you the exact information you need to change it, which is so crazy to me. Like, watch, Alexander, what you about to go through as far as fixing, working on your credit and then building your wealth, it's the straight up how to do it. No holds barred. The only thing that can stop you is you. But I'm gonna cuss you out if you stop yourself. All right? Because now you're on my team, so I can't play. I don't play like that. My ex-husband is Kenyan, and we were recruited to the Mormon church. He's still there. It's crazy, and that's what I'm saying. They are out in full force. Oops, sorry. I got a little message on my phone here, and I don't like when those things pop up because I feel like I need to look at it. But they are in full force in people of color, in the people of color community. This is why we got to get out. We have to forge our own way to teach people how to become thinkers for themselves. Thinkers for themselves. We can't sit on the sideline because these guys are out there. They're out there in full force. They're out there in full force. They're out here. Joseph Smith told black people that they can't participate in celestial marriage. That they can get married on earth, but they're banned from the celestial marriage. So if you were black and you were, and let's say you're a black Mormon and your family's been Mormon for the last, what year? 2018. The last 70 years, your family was black Mormons out in Utah. They left the plantations and went on out that way, right? So they went out there and they joined the Church of Latter-day Saints, but they were told that they were the curse. Everybody else, all the white people, get to go through the celestial marriage, which means that they're going to be. And let me explain what this means. You and your spouse get married. You go into the celestial marriage, means that once you leave Earth, you two go into heaven, into space, basically, and y'all become the god and goddess over another planet that y'all have children and populate. Y'all have children in heaven creating souls, and then you populate that planet with those souls, and you're the god over that soul, over that planet. Black people can't do that. Interracial marriages can't do that. If you got one drop of black blood in you, you can't do that, according to Joseph Smith. Now, and again, that didn't get changed until 1978. Why? Civil rights movement. And the fact of the matter is, America, see, every time they make a change, it's because the American government is making them change. I would say that's the only damn, the government is good for something every now and then. But the only time the Mormon church changed is because the American government forced them to change. Everybody had to ratify the Civil Rights Bill. So they had to change their teaching in order to ratify the Civil Rights Bill. Everybody, I don't know, I wonder, do they have Martin Luther King Day in Utah? I know they don't have Malcolm X Day, but I wonder if they do. But what else do you guys think? I mean, would any of you? I know the people on here would never do it. I know most of the people who have commented. Well, let me rephrase. The people who have commented would never do that. I know y'all wouldn't. You know, but some of you guys who haven't commented, I'm curious. Are there any Mormons listening? Because if you are, please correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if that's not the history of your church. Correct me, please. In the comments, if you're watching this later and you're a Mormon, correct me in the comments. I usually don't get into arguments in the comments, but if you can correct me, if you are saying that is not what Joseph Smith and Brigham Young and everybody who followed him up to 1978 is saying, correct me. If you're saying that even after 1978, that black people haven't been, it's been more difficult for any of them to become a priest, and there are so few in there, correct me if I'm wrong. You can't. And please don't come with that "you're taking it out of context" bull. That's exactly what they said. How can I take out of context? The curse of Cain is that him and all his seeds have black skin. That black people are banned from the celestial marriage. That black people were banned from being able to be priests. Correct me. You can't correct that because that's what they said. How do you properly indoctrinate a whole race from something that was already ours, but they think they are Hebrew? Oh, I read that wrong. How do you properly unindoctrinate a whole race of people from something that was already ours, but they think they are Hebrews? What is the something that is already ours first? There's a reason why I'm asking that part. I mean, most Mormon marriages are miserable. I've seen them start dating 3-6 months later. Yep, they do get married fast because it's all about sex. You can't have sex without being married. Got to have that legal document. Do you know anyone that well? So exactly, I don't know anybody that well. I ain't marrying you after a few months. I don't know. I don't know what exactly you mean by what was already ours. And I want to do a whole nother video about the Hebrew Israelites, so I don't want to go too. Oh, spirituality. And here's the thing. Okay, so now this is a part where I'm going to lose some people who are super pro black. Spirituality is not a race. It has nothing to do with race. All right. So when you use the term ours, everybody has had spirituality, right? Even you go back in time, we all come out of Africa. Everybody has seeds from Africa. But spirituality has always been something of man because we are all spiritual beings. Just adaptations happen. You become white, you become Asian, you become yellow, you become whatever. Mixing blood after you have your adaptations. All that kind of stuff happens. Man then has to put controls over it. People are running around saying they're Hebrew Israelites. They kill me because they act as if nothing existed prior to that. They are also indoctrinating themselves into slavery by saying that because of Deuteronomy 23, that the slavery is justified, that they're in, that the slavery that our ancestors went through is justified, and that we're coming out of it over I think like maybe in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we're coming out of the 400 years of slavery. So they walk around and in their teachings, they're saying that in heaven, that they can't do it on earth, but in heaven, you can have sex with a 12-year-old girl. As soon as the girl has a period, you can have sex with her. They wouldn't do it on earth because they know they'd get in trouble. But that's what they teach, that she becomes a woman at that point. She's not a little girl. And it's the only reason her mind is not a woman because she has been taught like a woman would be taught. How you unindoctrinate a whole race of people? You have to give them power. The simple answer is you have to give them power. Power over their own lives. You have to take them away from the position where you can sell them hope. The only way that you indoctrinate someone, other than by force, is to sell them hope. Muslims, Arabs indoctrinated black people in Africa by putting a sword to their neck, by overtaxation. So they oppressed them through force and through finances. In America, we were enslaved. In all the Americas, they were enslaved, or they were beaten, or the natives who were here were massacred, or they were beaten, or they were placed in these. Every time land was found to be good, they moved them to a more depressed area. So through oppression, that's how it. So how do you relieve it? Is to do the opposite. Is to give back the power. To give back the power to the people and show them that it came from within, not from outside of you, but it came from inside you. So take a neighborhood, a black neighborhood, and this is why we're putting the Temple of Learning in these kinds of neighborhoods. Put it in a neighborhood where the people are being oppressed financially. Teach those people how to elevate themselves financially, how to manage their funds, then how to buy the land. Convince them that not to leave. You see, segregation ended, integration happened, and we left our communities. That is the real destruction of Black Wall Streets, is the fact that integration caused people to think it's better to live where the white people live. I need to force them to take my money. Instead, we teach them how to build communities, whether you're Asian or black or white or Polynesian or whatever. If you're impoverished and oppressed, build your own community. Once you have power, once you have money, once somebody can't come to you and sell you hope, and the only thing they can sell you is reality, is real stuff, is the understanding that, hey, you can manifest life as you choose. You can manifest the money. You can manifest the power. You can manifest your own freedom. You can manifest these things from inside. So we'll teach them in Temple Learning the financial aspects of it, the real estate part of it, the business brokering part of it, and then how the government works, the political controls work, how all those things work. Once people realize that they have the power. See, that whole power to the people, it's a good slogan. But the paradigm is shift. We can't be a slogan. We got to be a reality. We teach that, we can unindoctrinate people. It'll be a slow process. Well, I can't say it'll be a slow process. It's like a snowball effect. We build it, we get one family going, all of a sudden the family next door, the friends of those families, they start wondering. We get one neighborhood going, the next few neighborhoods start getting going. We get one small community, one town going, then the next town starts going. People in the Hindu tradition, I can't remember the exact word, but it's called monkeying. Monkeying is a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. One thing of monkeying is have a monkey mind. It's when your mind just go from this to that to this to that to this to that. This is kind of how you go to impoverished neighborhoods. They go from one multi-level marketing company to the next, one to the next, one to the next. One get rich quick thing for the next, one get to the next. They go from this pastor messed up, they go to the next pastor, they go to the next church. Never seeing that it's the whole environment that's messed up, but they go pastor to pastor, pastor to pastor, pastor. They got monkey mind. They're not focused, they're not clear. What we want to give them is clarity of mind, clarity of thought. But then the other part of it is imitation. Monkeying around in the Hindu tradition means that you're imitating something. You can either imitate something negative, which is what goes on because that's what people see, or you can create that environment where this family who was previously impoverished or even worse, in worse poverty than you, all of a sudden, on their own, went through a program, learned, paid for the god doggone program too, and built themselves up and own the house that they're in now. Children are doing better. They're growing better. They're more powerful in the community, more powerful in the school. The neighbor who's looking at that, monkeying him, will imitate him. Once you got 5, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 people doing that, others will imitate that. So the snowball gets bigger and bigger because people will imitate. They'll imitate what they see if it's in their best interest. Right now, they imitate the hope selling of a church, synagogue, or mosque because they think that that's in their best interest. But when you can show people that you can make money on your own, that you can build your own house, have your own neighborhood, your own community, then they'll monkey that as well. I ask all religions and all beings, why do people die? How is a cell so intelligent? And who determines what is alive when no one can explain life? You're right. No, not there, because what is alive? Everything is alive. There's no such thing as death. Death, we just change. The energy changes. The energy of your cell changes. The energy of your body changes. Your consciousness changes. Right? No religion is going to answer. That's why they have to have their places. We go to heaven. We go to hell. You got to do this. You got to do that. You get a new body. You're living in the spirit. You're prostrated before the throne. You're the celestial marriage. You have all these different things. They have to give these man level ideas. Think about it. In their version, heaven is a man level idea. Let me hit you something as far as life is concerned. Let me read this other comment first. There's a video from the 1950s on how you can sell a Negro. Yes, that is a good video. I've seen that one too. How you can sell a Negro. And I'm going to be honest with you. You can sell anybody with that. I actually showed that to my sales team when I was a sales manager for this computer training company. But I showed them that. And then I put it like, this can be for anybody. But let me life. I want you guys to take a moment. I want you to think about your earliest memory. The earliest memory you have. My earliest memory, I don't know which one of these are my earliest memory or not. When I was going to kindergarten, I remember walking across, we lived in these little project homes, and the elementary school was at the bottom of the project home, bottom of the hill. And I remember walking, and it was the first time I walked by myself. And I remember walking across the street. It's either that or, right, energy changes. It's either that one or I think I may have been younger. The first time I rode my big wheel across the street. I was at my grandmother's house and I rode my big wheel across the street. That was a big deal. To the store across the street by myself, riding a big wheel. I felt like a big boy. That's my early memory. My parents tell me that I had an uncle who used to put beer in my bottle. I don't remember it. My mom tells me that when I was a little toddler, I did not like other men around my mom, and I would want to fight everybody. I don't remember that. I don't remember any of those things. But guess what? All those things happened. Coming out of my mother's womb, all those things happened. They are real events. They're not fake, but I don't remember them. I have no consciousness about them. So from your earliest memory before that, anything before that, you have no conscious memory of it, but it all happened. But before you were in the womb, there was consciousness. There were things going on. There was a void of existence. You didn't know, like, if your earliest memories when you was 4, from 4 to 0, there's a void of lack of memory. You don't remember none of that stuff, but you were conscious during that time frame, but there's a void. So prior to birth on this dimensional plane, there's a void. And when you leave, you can't think, you really don't know what's next. You really can't fathom what's next. Try to fathom the void. You can't, because in this existence, the only thing you can fathom is consciousness, your consciousness. You can fathom the caramelizer behind me, the popper over there. I can fathom the air that I'm breathing. I can fathom this delicious coffee that I made. I can fathom it, I can taste it, but I can't fathom the void. It's difficult. Every now and then I can have a moment, a split second of a moment, where I almost feel like that void. But then immediately after that split second moment happens, I appear in the void. or my conscious knowing happens in the darkness of the void. Everybody wants to try to tell you what's coming next. Truth is, nobody knows. But it's discomforting to think that it's a void. But if you were at peace before coming to this planet, before coming into this existence, you will be at peace after this existence. If you were not, if you were suffering, if you was going through physical torment and all these sort of things, like the Latter-day Saints is saying that you were going through all this torment, that black people were cursed and they were these souls up in this planet with Elohim. You don't remember none of that. There's no consciousness to it. So there's a peace in it. Once you really come to that realization, there's a whole peace to it. There's a whole piece. And I have a piece in the I don't know. I have ideas. I have thoughts. I have theories. But the truth, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know a few things. And that's going to help me answer this question. Do you believe we will come back here till we learn to get better? I feel like I've been here before. That's exactly one of the things that I believe. I do believe that our consciousness must rise. Our consciousness must elevate itself. It must come to the point where you are not operating out of fear. One reason why I love the chakra system, because the chakra system gets rid of fear, guilt, shame. It gets rid of the pain of losing love and open yourself up. It gets rid of the lies that you tell yourself about yourself, the fact that you feel disconnected. And most people just focus on the disconnect between everything on this dimensional plane. But I'm talking about feel disconnected from everything in existence, whether you realize it exists or not. That's the thing. Can you be connected? You are connected to everything that exists or doesn't exist. There's a person on the other side of the planet who exists. You're connected to that person. You don't consciously know that person, but you are connected to them. And to know that, feel that, and then that crown chakra, releasing all your earthly attachment, is to release all these physical things and recognize that there are planes of existence beyond what we can fathom. That void, even the void, is something that's very difficult to fathom. So how can you fathom something else? You can't. We can have our imagination. Our imagination helps us. But I believe until we come to a true understanding of ourselves, an understanding of the universe, then we will, I believe, this is a belief. It's not a fact. It's a belief that you will keep coming back and repeating this process at this dimensional plane until you get it. Because I don't believe, based on all the wisdom, of universal wisdom, that you can go to the next level of consciousness and you're still stuck in this one. If you are racist, whether you are racist toward black people, whether you're racist toward white people, whether you're racist toward Asian people, if you even see that in the higher dimension, race doesn't exist, in the energetic thought process, race doesn't exist, that you still hold on to it. There is a divine paradox, and I've said this a bunch of times before, that on this dimensional plane, race exists and we have to deal with it. But energetically, as above, so below, in the above, race can exist at some point. And maybe the next level race still exists. And maybe the level of that race still exists. But at some point, total pure energy, race doesn't exist. So until you can release that thought that I'll deal with racism here, I'll understand it and work through it, bend the matrix to fit my will here. But what I do know or believe is that in the next level of at some point, there is no such thing as race. There is only energy. And what that conscious energy looks like, what it's shaped like, what color is it, hell, you don't know. But I believe that until we figure it out, we got to keep coming back, keep figuring this out, keep doing it over and over again. That's a simple answer to me, is why the population keeps growing. Because people keep coming back, can't figure it out. Too many people can't figure it out and have to keep on coming back. So new bodies have to be created in order for your spirit, your energy to go through it again. I think that's why when we came back this time, we weren't in the mood for nonsense. Exactly. So you got me by a year. I was 9 when I finally was like, this is some straight bug. But yeah, I mean, some people, if you go by the Buddhist tradition, you are reincarnated, and at some point when you hit that Buddha head, that Buddha mind, when you get the Buddha head, you don't have to come back no more. You hit nirvana at that point. In the esoteric Christian, once you get the Christ mind, then you don't have to come back no more. You're done. But now the Christ mind says you go straight to heaven. You straight to, if there were 11 levels and we're at 3, you go straight to 11. You know, that's a bunch of bull, because your consciousness ain't developed to go straight to 11. No, that's why they had Jacob's ladder, where he said he saw spirits descending and ascending. That there were different rungs on the ladder. I think there were 7 rungs on the ladder, and they were stopping at different rungs, showing that the energy, the conscious, stops at different rungs. It doesn't go all the way. In the Muslim tradition, they have the different levels of heaven as well. Even Dante tried to give that to Christian people by showing them different levels of hell. That just as much as you can go above, you can go below. So I my own personal thoughts on that, based on the Kemetic science, just wisdom all over the world, really. I even though Pythagoras was kind of crazy and kind of, he had some problems. Some of the aspects of Pythagoras I agree with. Pythagoras searched the world for wisdom, searched it for wisdom, and then congealed it all together and started his school, the Pythagoreans in Croton. He put it all together, and then, of course, he still was attached, earthly attachments. So he still was. I do get that not everybody can handle the information, but he was still kind of like nuts about it, crazy about it, still had this racist stuff about him. So, but I don't say he stole stuff. That would be, if that was the case, then people would say I stole from the Tao from Lao Tzu. I stole from the Kemetic science. I stole from the Sumerians. I didn't steal from none of these people. I just read their stuff, come to an understanding of it, and apply it. Like, do you know how powerful you would be if you truly, 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 truly understood cause and effect, vibration, and the law of rhythm and polarity? Just those laws, cause and effect. Because we ain't gonna get to the law of mentalism. Most people can't. It's hard for you to get there. Cause and effect. For every cause, there is an effect. So every action you take, every word you speak, everything you do has an effect, right? Truly understand that. This used to drive my kid's mom crazy, because I used to be like, everything we do, everything we say, everything our child sees, we can't let them watch a movie over and over and over again and think it doesn't affect them. Everything affects who they become. And she used to be like, dude, it ain't that serious. And I was like, yes, it is. It is that serious. Because cause and effect is that serious. It is that serious. You make decisions today that will affect you. I made a stupid decision 5 years ago, and it has affected my finances for 5 freaking years. A dumb decision. One dumb decision that made me make some 3, 4, 5, 6 rush decisions, and it's affected my finances for 5 years. And it took 5 years to dig out of that hole. All right? So if we truly understand cause and effect, and how cause and effect affects your vibration, and how your vibration affects your rhythm of the swing, and the pole that you're swinging along, you will have more greatness in your life than you've ever seen. So if the pole is money is so easy because you can count it. If the pole is money, and this is, Alexander, get ready for this in Financial Alchemy. The pole is money. If you understand every decision you make and how it affects your money, then you're going to know, is this a high vibrational decision or action, or is this a low vibrational decision or action? And when you realize that, and you make your decision action based on where it vibrates, then you say, okay, this is going to swing me either up the pole to financial freedom or down the pole to financial slavery. And I'm only going to swing towards financial freedom. I know what my emotions is telling me. I know what my reasoning is trying to get me, convince me otherwise. I know all of this, but I know the fact is that this is going to elevate me, or this is going to decrease me. This is going to increase my vibration or lower my vibration. The more you get in tune with that, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your children, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your money, when it comes to your spirituality, the more in tune you get with that, your power grows to the point where you begin to manifest and create everything and anything you want in your life. And I'm starting to preach a little bit, so I'm gonna have to stop doing it. So I keep coming back. Oh shoot, Yeah, 10 o'clock. So y'all gonna have to watch me open my store a little bit. Let me say that. Let me turn these. They think that I'm open. So I keep coming back, vibrations to vibration, and continue forever and ever. If you don't get anything right, I would I would need to know what would be the completion and what happens at the completion. What happens at your completion? Another level. This whole thing is crazy and unexplainable by no one. It is unexplainable by no one. And you know what? There is no completion. That's the thing about it. The universe, just as they say, the universe is constant. Think about it. Even if the scientist is right and say the universe is constantly, so if it's constantly expanding, it's going to keep growing. But then even if it crunches back together, it's going to expand again. So the Big Bang, Big Crunch, it never stops. It never ceases. So your elevation, your growth, your creation will never stop. It's going to keep going. Right? You'll continue on your journeys forever. The question is, where do you want to be? Do you want to keep being here on Earth? You want to keep coming back to this mess? All right. You don't want to keep coming back to this. You want to elevate. You want to be in a dimensional plane where a lot of the ideas of here don't exist anymore. Right? Who wants to keep coming back to this mess? But you guys have been great. I'm sure some of y'all are at work. I now have to go and mind my, well, it's 10 o'clock and the vibration of my time management is very important to me. So it's time to get out some marketing material for both CoachRenz.com. Hey, if you want to participate in financial alchemy, go to CoachRenz.com, join Financial Alchemy. We're going to increase your vibration. We're going to turn your lead into gold. All right. But it's not just about fixing your credit. It's also about, music does affect us greatly. It's the vibrational patterns, the frequency, but it's also about fixing, getting you into a point of freedom mentally, freedom so that you can make choices and decisions for yourself. But we do wealth building there as well. It's not just, oh, let me get your credit right, and then after your credit is right, let me let you go mess it up so you can come back to me again. No, I want you to understand how to build your wealth and build it to whatever level you desire, whatever level you want to give energy towards. Because some people will be happy making $50,000 a year. Other people will be happy making $100,000. Some people, and imagine if you're making that 30, 40, 50,000 and you don't have to work. You don't have to do much to it other than like maybe answer some emails. And this is not a program that I'm selling to you as far as a wealth building. There are many different ways to build wealth. But if you're interested in financial alchemy, if you want coaching in any other aspect, relationship coaching, personal development, go to CoachRenz.com. And, we can get that done. And I own Uncle Ren's popcorn. You can order some gourmet popcorn from me as well. That'd be awesome. Uh, let's see. A couple of last things before I go. I think music affects us. It does. That's why they put music in the 440. If you listen to a lot of the heavy metal stuff, it's 440. The frequency is 440, which is very violent. I think the only way to understand is to go with it. The subconscious is not being trained. True, your subconscious is not being trained. And oh God, you starting like that's a whole nother deal, man. Why you want to start that? We're gonna have to do something. We're gonna have to do a whole nother video about the subconscious. But your subconscious, most people's subconscious is not being trained, but your subconscious is what's creating the majority of your life. Almost everything in your manifestation has been because of your subconscious. And an untrained subconscious is like having an untrained animal in your house. It's just shitting all over the place, right? So you you got the same time tomorrow. That's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to commit myself to something like that. And I say trying, but trying is to keep doing it as often as I possibly can, but I got to do it. But the more I do it, the more it becomes part of our vibration here. But yeah, so that subconscious, I'm gonna hold on to that. That's just a little piece. We're gonna get more into your subconscious later. But you guys have a great day, and remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. And this is your Coach Renz. Love you guys. Have a great one. Continue to support the channel on Patreon and everything else, and enjoy. Thanks. Bye.